think back to June 2nd after a heartbreaking loss the Mets had to the Arizona Diamondbacks. Jake Diekman allows a go-ahead home run to Ketel Marte, and the Mets, they're 24 and 35, 11 games under 500, and you go back to some of those episodes we were recording around that time. The series before that, it was the one against the Dodgers where they get swept and the glove is thrown into the stands and all that stuff is going on. And we said the season is kind of dictating itself. This is the direction it looks like the Mets are going in, and they said it was kind of a transition year. Maybe no one thought they were going to be perhaps 11 games under 500 at that time, but that's just how things had gone. You also think about the game against the Giants where they had that lead in the eighth inning and it gets away from them, and you just had so many games like that early in the season, and we had the discussions about what could they get for a Pete Alonso, a Sean Manaea, Luis Severino, JD Martinez, any player on an expiring contract. Those were the conversations we were having, on this show, and it was also bantered about on the social media as well during that time. And then, some things start to happen. Uh, Jose Iglesias is called up around that time. A trip to London happens. You win a wild game against the Phillies there, a rare 2-3 double play. You return back to the States, uh, and there's a walk-off home run against the Marlins, a sweep of the Padres, and now you're kind of creeping up the standings there. You're still under 500, but the Mets are creeping up, and it really took a series probably with the Yankees for me, sweeping that Subway Series to get to 500. When you kind of started to say, and maybe it was before that too, because the grimace stuff was happening and whatnot. But that Yankee series to me, when they swept it, I said to myself, maybe they do have a chance to get back to this thing. We'll see. The field hadn't really separated itself, despite the fact that the Mets were, 7 games under 500 around that time, a couple weeks beforehand. They were still only 3.5 out, a reasonable number. But you looked at it and you said, well, there's a lot of teams in front of them they have to jump. The Cubs, the Cardinals, the Giants at that time. Um, it was a tough hill to climb, whether, you believed in that they could do it or not. Some probably didn't. I was skeptical myself that they could make that climb. But the Mets did make that climb. They climbed themselves out of a gigantic hole they put themselves in. They put themselves in a position where they could go out and acquire a Jesse Winker, a Paul Blackburn to give him a couple starts. Obviously, you'd like more. A Huskar Brazaban, who did maybe had his ups and downs, but there were times he gave the Mets solid outings. A Ryan Stanek, a Phil Maton. That's probably the big one there. Um, and now the New York Mets have propelled themselves into the postseason.